3 women among those slain during first 3 days of Iranian uprising in over 100 cities. 3 women were among those killed during the first 3 days of the nationwide uprising in Iran. The women were shot dead by security forces in Tehran, Saveh and Boukan. On Sunday, armed forces in Boukan, Iranian Kurdistan, opened fire on protesters. Shelir Dadvand was also killed during this attack. On Saturday, Mina Sheikhi, 50, was shot dead in Tehran. Also on Saturday, a middle-aged woman who hasn't been identified was shot point-blank range and killed by anti-riot forces. Extensive clashes between university students and suppressive forces in Iran. The nationwide uprising of the people of Iran continued on Monday for a 4th consecutive day. There were extensive clashes between university students and the suppressive state security forces. The suppressive forces surrounded the University of Tehran students, and the situation is extremely tumultuous. Students are chanting, "Imprisoned students must be freed, and don't be afraid, we are all together." The paramilitary Basij forces attacked the protesting students, but were faced with resistance. Nationwide protests continue for 4th consecutive day in Iran. Demonstrations swept through Tehran, Isfahan, Shiraz, and other cities in the 4th consecutive day of Iranian protest. Iranian forces are unable to cope with the escalating uprising. They have resorted to deploying Afghan proxy forces formed to fight regime proxy wars in Syria against the local population. Young protesters have downed electrical poles and city lighting to create roadblocks on most roads. All shops and stores have shut down, and petrol stations are not working. In Shiraz, young insurgent forces have burnt down most state banks as symbols of regime plunder and taken over chain convenience stores owned by the IRGC. In Isfahan, there were tense clashes between the people and suppressive forces. As protests spread across Iran, regime shuts down internet. Iran's regime has shut down the country's internet to prevent news of the nationwide uprising in Iran and the deadly crackdown by the Revolutionary Guards from reaching the outside world. NetBlocks, a non-governmental organization that monitors cybersecurity and internet freedom, wrote on Twitter on Sunday, "Iran is now in the midst of a near-total national internet shutdown. Real-time network data shows connectivity at 7% of ordinary levels after 12 hours of progressive network disconnections as public protests continue." 200 plus killed in Iran uprising. Rajavi urges UN to convene Security Council session. More than 200 protesters have been killed during the Iranian people's nationwide uprising. Thousands have been wounded. On November 17th, the Revolutionary Guard said 1,000 had been arrested, though the actual number is much higher. Maryam Rajavi, the president-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, called on United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres to brief the Security Council about the atrocities perpetrated by the Iranian regime, its Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, and the IRGC, in view of the rising number of those killed and wounded. She urged him to convene an extraordinary session of the Council.